Let's talk to a former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector, Mike Neville. Good morning, Mike.
Morning from Powys today, Kevin.
Where are you today? Powys. Always somewhere else. Always somewhere else. Good to speak to you, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Well, let's talk about. We'll get to the Land Rovers in just a second. Yes, the Just Stop Oil mob were at it in Glasgow at the weekend, gluing themselves to the track. They're threatening, very unwisely in my view, to disrupt at least one Premier League game per weekend throughout the season. They have to be stopped, don't they? If they do glue themselves to the goalposts or whatever the hell it is they're planning to do, not only should the police be down on them like a ton of bricks, the legal system should as well. And we need to send these people a message. As I say, football's a really important part of our culture. People work hard all week. Saturday afternoon at the football, you're a Bolton fan, commiserations for that. I'm a Fulham fan, same deal for me. But we love to go to the football. That's our big treat of the weekend. These people start spoiling that for millions of football fans, millions of sports fans. Then I think we throw the book at them. They go to jail.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they say a big clash of cultures. It'll be working class lads versus sort of middle class champagne socialists, and it's never going to work out too well, is it? Like we found when they got on the top of the DLR in London and were dragged off. But they just, as we've said many times before, they're not achieving anything here. They're not achieving their to get any more support. They're ebbing support away, and we've got this bizarre fusion of all these sort of far left activists. So with the cycling in Scotland, we had a transgender individual with them complaining that he wasn't allowed to cycle in the women's race, and this was all part of it. So it's just the police have got to get the intelligence to who these people are and then stop them before they get there. The football authorities, of course, have got to use every tactic possible to stop them actually getting into the ground. That's the key thing. So the stewards have got to know who these people are. The police have got to share information so that they can be stopped before they get in there. Because, as you've said, the football fans will be unforgiving if they find out that they're amongst them.
And this sort of standoff kind of way the police deal with these activists, standing back, shaking their hands, or actually not even attending. Some Just Stop Oil demonstrations when they roadblock, cops aren't even there. When that poor Just Stop Oil demonstrator got the hell kicked out of him the other week when a motorist lost their temper, no cops in sight. So this kind of approach, if they start picking on football matches, Premier League football matches, the police better be a damn sight more proactive than they have been so far.
Absolutely. I mean, the police's job is to stop any breaches of the peace, and this could happen here. And I agree with you. There needs to be a more robust approach. They need to be found, arrested, because you can arrest people if you suspect they're going to commit a breach of the peace, and then they can be put before the courts. They also will have all sorts of devices and implements that are now illegal about chaining yourself to this. I mean, at the Everton match, I believe, he sort of put a cable tie around his neck, around the post. That was the tactic there. So these devices can be found and provide further evidence. But this sort of let them get on with it approach, it's losing police, the confidence in the police of the public is already ebbing away, and it needs to be better. The police need to be more robust about this and to stop trouble before it actually starts.
This extraordinary attack on a Land Rover dealership down in Exeter in Devon on Sunday night, where 60 brand new utility vehicles were attacked, their tyres all slashed, vandalised. This is because these people, the activists, these unknown activists who apparently object to SUVs, say that those two 8-year-old kids at that private school in Wimbledon a few weeks back, when a Land Rover ploughed into that school. That's down to the Land Rover. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure there's any official reason for that crash, but we understand that the driver, a lady, suffered some sort of medical incident. So it's not the Land Rover's fault, is it?
No, if it was a mini metro, it would have done equally, you know, at that sort of speed, those poor little girls. And it's just using their sort of memory to justify themselves. I mean, if you look at the tweets that they put up, they call themselves something like the Tyre Extinguishers.
That's right, yeah.
That they are, you know, they're claiming that there's 8 times more likely to be involved in, you know, crashes. I don't know.
Well, the SUVs are. This is one of these statistics that you pluck out of the air. They say SUVs, four-wheelers, you know, are 8 times more likely to kill children in crashes than smaller cars. Yeah, right. It's just nonsense.
It's nonsense. There's all sorts of variants, the sort of place, the speed of the vehicle, etc., etc. But justifying that is just on those deaths is just not good enough. And what you see again is that a lot of vehicles targeted in Brighton, a lot of them targeted in Bristol. So we can see where the epicenter of this sort of behaviour is. It's the sort of the world. It's the Californias of England where these people exist and carry out these acts. And all it does is hinder hard-working people who simply need to get into that vehicle and go to work, take the kids to school, or husband or wife to hospital or whatever else. And as I said before, this is not going to get you any support. No one's going to say thank you for putting all those tyres down, thank you for wrecking that business. It's just not happening. And I don't know what they're trying to achieve, because they're just trying to make us all believe they're, you know, Armageddon warnings. That they're certainly not at all because of these actions.
Well, you say that, Mike, but the Tyre Extinguishers, I'm going to rename the tiresome extinguishers. It says here, this is what they said, Tyre Extinguishers firmly believe that their action is a necessary escalation to try and stop these vehicles from wrecking further lives and continuing to push the worsening climate crisis off the cliff edge. These people are utterly deranged. Get a life, get a job.
I'm with you, and I don't think it's a climate disaster. It's usually a climate emergency or something these days, isn't it? It's always like a climate death. It's just all this extreme talk doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help their cause. And what you have as well, I mean, just to go on with this, we've got a Labour Party appointed an eco-activist as their future MP. So what people see is that none of the mainstream parties seem to be willing to tackle this. They want to tackle it, I suppose, the ULEZ because they think they might lose a few votes. But all 3 main parties are committed to this net zero, and it just adds to the agenda of these people. There's got to be some real opposition, some real drive to say, no, we disagree with this. Who are the people who are going to stand up and say this is not right? Because it almost encourages them to do this sort of thing, because the 3 mainstream parties aren't standing up to it at all. And the police, as you've noted, allow them to do what they want. And then the courts just often just free them and they're back on the streets without any real restriction, no bail conditions to stop them doing this, and they carry on and on and on. And as I say, the public are losing faith, not just in the police, but in the courts and the establishment in general, who just don't seem to be on their side.
Yeah, they really are losing faith, and quite rightly so, in my opinion. Great to talk to you, Mike. As always, Mike Neville there, former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector.